Nestled amidst the rolling hills and serene lakes of upstate New York, the magnificent Miller estate was abuzz with festivities. David Miller, the only son of Robert Miller, was marrying Jessica Thompson. Every corner of the estate resonated with joy and celebration. Robert Miller, a man in his late 60s who still possessed a sharp intellect and a commanding presence, stood beside his beloved wife, Eleanor Miller, warmly greeting their guests. Eleanor, the principal trustee of the Miller Family Foundation, captivated everyone with her calm, dignified demeanor. A gentle smile graced her lips, radiating a warmth brighter than the illuminated ballroom of the estate. Yet, a subtle, uneasy nod at Robert's mind. Jessica, David's new wife, was undeniably beautiful and elegant, but Robert detected a chilling ambition in her eyes. Her smile seemed a touch too calculated, her words a little too measured. David, his son, was straightforward and emotional. Robert wondered how Jessica's calculating nature would blend with David's simplicity. He observed Jessica's every move, analyzing her every word. It seemed to Robert that Jessica's interest was solely confined to the vast wealth of the Miller family. The wedding ceremony was grand and opulent. Hundreds of guests, ranging from New York's elite society to Robert's long-standing business partners, had gathered for the occasion. After the dinner, as guests reveled in dancing and drinks in the estate's grand ballroom, an invaluable heirloom of the Miller family captured everyone's attention. It was an ancient locket, securely displayed in a glass case. The locket carried the memory of Robert's late mother and symbolized the Miller family's tradition and values. Engraved on the locket was the original emblem of the Miller family, an oak branch signifying strength and longevity. Robert had loved his mother dearly, and this locket was her last memento to him. It was not merely a piece of jewelry. It was a reflection of the family's soul. Robert noticed Jessica repeatedly glancing at the locket. There was a peculiar glint in her eyes that stirred an unknown apprehension in Robert's heart. He knew something was about to happen. His years of business experience had taught him that when everything seemed too smooth, that was precisely when one needed to be most vigilant. As the night deepened, guests gradually began to depart. Robert was in his study, reconciling the day's accounts. Suddenly, he overheard David and Jessica's voices. They were unaware of Robert's proximity. Their conversation sent a chill down Robert's spine. They were plotting to remove Eleanor from her position as a trustee of the Miller Family Foundation. Their objective was to gain control over the foundation's substantial funds, Jessica whispered. Eleanor is stuck in her old ways. Because of her, we're missing out on modern investment opportunities. We could do so much more with the foundation's money, David. David echoed his wife's sentiments. Yes, Father also listens to Eleanor too much these days. We have to do something. This foundation is our future, Jessica. Robert heard Jessica add, "Don't worry, David. I have a perfect plan." Their scheme was sinister. Jessica intended to plant the locket in Eleanor's purse, then feign its loss. When security conducted a search, the locket would be found in Eleanor's bag. This would publicly humiliate Eleanor and make it easy to remove her from the foundation. Robert realized that Jessica possessed a purse identical to Eleanor's, which would make their plan even simpler. Jessica further stated, "I made sure Eleanor brought her cream-colored purse. I have an identical one. No one will suspect a thing." Robert listened in silence. His heart was bursting with rage. His own son, whom he had trusted so implicitly, was conspiring with his wife against his mother in such a vile manner. Robert knew David had always been somewhat weak-willed, but he never imagined he could sink so low under Jessica's influence. Robert resolved that he would not allow this injustice to happen. He loved his wife, and it was his duty to protect her honor. He recalled the long years spent with Eleanor, their love, their trust. He could not allow this trust to be shattered. He remembered Eleanor's unwavering support through thick and thin, her quiet strength that had been the bedrock of their family. This conspiracy was not just an attack on Eleanor, but on the very foundation of their shared life. Robert knew Jessica's plan could succeed if he didn't act swiftly. He noticed that the purse Jessica carried was identical to Eleanor's. Jessica had placed the locket in her own purse, likely awaiting the opportune moment. Robert realized this purse was the key to his countermove. He meticulously devised a plan in his mind. During a lull in the reception, when everyone was busy posing for photos with David and Jessica, Robert seized his chance. Jessica had left her purse on a small table where guests were placing their drinks. Robert moved quickly. His hands trembled slightly, but his resolve was unwavering. With practiced precision, he retrieved the locket from Jessica's purse and tucked it into a secret pocket in his own jacket. This pocket had been specially tailored, where he often kept important documents. Then he placed a small, elegant family crest pin into Eleanor's purse. Though not valuable, the pin was a symbol of the Miller family. Robert knew that even if the pin didn't resemble the locket, its presence in Eleanor's purse would foil Jessica's scheme. He completed the task swiftly, ensuring no one noticed him. His heart pounded, but his face remained calm and composed. As Robert finished his task, his chest heaved. He knew he was playing a dangerous game, but he was willing to take any risk to protect his wife's honor and the family's legacy. He glanced at Eleanor, a serene smile on her face. Eleanor was still unaware of what her husband had done for her. Robert silently vowed that he would not let that smile fade. He felt the presence of the locket in his jacket pocket, which gave him a strange sense of power. He thought of the countless sacrifices Eleanor had made for their family, her selfless love, and her unwavering loyalty. This act was his way of reciprocating that love and protecting her from harm. Moments later, Jessica suddenly shrieked, "The locket is gone. Where's my mother's locket?" Her voice was laced with feigned distress, which was evident to Robert. David joined in. "Yes, the locket was just here." "Who took it?" Both acted as if they were genuinely concerned. Jessica even shed a few tears, making her performance all the more convincing. Commotion spread among the guests. Whispers began to circulate. Robert calmly observed the situation. Jessica and David called for security and requested a search for the locket. Jessica cunningly pointed towards Eleanor. "I think everyone's purse should be searched, especially those who were near the locket." Her intention was to humiliate Eleanor and accuse her of theft. Security personnel began their search. They first searched Eleanor's purse. A triumphant smile played on Jessica's lips. She thought to herself, "Eleanor's game is over now." But when the security guard pulled out the family crest pin from Eleanor's purse, Jessica's smile faltered. Everyone was surprised by the pin. It was not the locket. Eleanor herself was astonished, wondering how this pin ended up in her purse. Jessica was stunned. Her plan had failed, but she hadn't given up yet. She said, "Search my purse too. Maybe it accidentally ended up in my purse." She was confident that the locket wasn't in her purse, as she herself had tried to place it in Eleanor's. The security guard searched Jessica's purse, and before everyone's eyes, the invaluable locket emerged from Jessica's identical clutch. Jessica and David were dumbfounded. Their faces turned pale. Guests began to whisper. Their eyes held disbelief and disgust. The atmosphere in the ballroom, once filled with joyous music, was now thick with tension and accusation. Robert had been waiting for this moment. He calmly stepped forward and said, "I think we should watch some video footage." He pulled out his phone and played a video. The video was from the estate's preparation room. Robert had previously instructed the estate's head of security to install discrete cameras in certain locations, as he had his suspicions. The video clearly showed Jessica placing the locket in her own purse and then attempting to transfer it to Eleanor's purse. However, due to Robert's swift action, she was unsuccessful. The part of the video showing Robert's countermove was not visible, but Jessica's conspiracy was undeniable. Every step she took, every expression on her face, proved her deceit. Everyone was shocked by the video. Jessica and David had no answers. Their lies and conspiracy were exposed before all. David looked at his father, his eyes filled with shame and remorse. Jessica stood with her head bowed, her dreams shattered. The joyous wedding celebration had transformed into a scene of public disgrace. The wedding celebration at the Miller estate concluded in utter chaos. Jessica and David were publicly humiliated. Robert, as the patriarch of the family, relieved David of all responsibilities within the Miller family foundation. He announced that Eleanor would remain the sole trustee of the foundation, and her decisions would be final. Robert instructed his lawyer to amend the terms of the foundation's trust to ensure that no one could challenge Eleanor's authority in the future. He made it clear that the Miller family's tradition and integrity would not be compromised. Jessica and David were escorted out of the wedding. Their dreams were shattered. Their future looked bleak. Robert looked at his wife. Eleanor's eyes were filled with gratitude and love. Robert held her hand. Despite everything, their love and trust remained unbroken. They looked at each other and smiled, a silent understanding passing between them. Robert knew he had done the right thing. Protecting his family's honor and his wife's dignity was more important to him than anything else. The Miller family's legacy was secured, and Robert and Eleanor returned to their peaceful and loving life. This incident only strengthened their bond. They realized that true wealth was not money, but trust, love, and integrity. And this truth remained the greatest legacy of the Miller family. The next morning, the estate was quiet. Robert and Eleanor walked in the garden, hand in hand. The sunlight fell on their faces, signaling the dawn of a new day. Eleanor looked at Robert and said, "I am forever grateful for what you did for me, Robert." Robert smiled. "Our love and trust are our greatest strength, Eleanor." They knew that many more challenges would come their way, but they were ready to face them together. The story of the Miller family was not just a story of a locket. It was a story of love, trust, and justice.